Now, I've been seeing a lot of talk online about Gigi's true involvement in Resurrection, with some people even thinking she could be the New York Ripper. But what almost nobody is talking about is the possibility that she's actually an undercover cop investigating the Morgan family. And in today's video, I'm going to break down all the evidence and clues that point to this theory and why it might actually be true. When we think about Harrison's love interests in Dexter Resurrection, it's easy to dismiss them as side characters, small detours in his larger arc about whether he'll inherit his father's darkness or forge his own path. Audrey Bishop in New Blood was written almost like a coming-of-age experiment, while Elsa in Resurrection started as a workplace connection that fizzled out when Harrison misread her signals. But then comes Gigi Jones, and from the moment she appears, something feels off. On the surface, she's witty, bold, and a bit overly flirtatious, and almost too direct with Harrison.
I've had to get creative with grooming and self-care.
But underneath, the timing of her arrival, her suspicious background, and the way she attaches herself so quickly all hint at something deeper. And that's where this theory comes in. What if Gigi isn't just another girlfriend, but an undercover cop planning to investigate the Morgan family? At first glance, that might sound like a stretch. After all, the show introduces Gigi as a sophomore at Collins College of Criminology, a girl who gives campus tours to new students and just so happens to click with Harrison when he arrives on campus. But the way the original Dexter series has always operated is by layering big twists beneath ordinary surfaces. Rita was the sweet girl next door who masked Dexter's darkness. Lila was the seductive artist who turned out to be a pyromaniac stalker. Hannah McKay was the woman who seemed like a romantic savior but carried her own body count. And of course, the infamous butcher himself, Master Cody. But in all seriousness, Gigi fits that same mold. A girlfriend who looks normal on the outside but could secretly be working an angle. Let's break down what makes the undercover theory so convincing. First, there's Gigi's career obsession. She doesn't just study criminology, she lives and breathes it. Her original dream was to become a detective, and even after her motorcycle accident supposedly left her with permanent nerve damage, she hasn't distanced herself from law enforcement. In fact, her conversations with Harrison show the opposite. But when you add in the fact that Harrison openly talks about his father's job at Miami Metro, and that Gigi's interest in him skyrockets the second she realizes he's tied to that world, it starts to look a little calculated. Then there's the accident itself. We're told she was hit by a drunk driver on New Year's Eve, and that it left her with nerve damage that prevents her from being a detective. But if she really has permanent damage, how is she so physically confident in her interactions? She flips Harrison off as a joke, she dances at a rooftop party, she hooks up with him the same night without hesitation. The show frames her injury more as a quirky character detail than a genuine limitation. And in a series where lies and cover stories define half the characters, it's not a stretch to think the accident might not be what it seems. If she is undercover, the nerve damage excuse is the perfect alibi, a way to be around crime and police spaces without anyone questioning her motives. Another red flag is how fast she attaches herself to Harrison. From the very moment she's the one steering the boat, she approaches him, teases him, flirts aggressively, and within 2 days they're in bed together. Compare that to Harrison's other relationships. Audrey developed slowly in Iron Lake with awkward silences and teenage hesitation. Elsa was an almost romance that fizzled out before it began. But Gigi, she's confident, smooth, and laser focused on Harrison from the jump. That doesn't feel like a natural romance. It feels like someone with a mission, someone who knows exactly who Harrison is and what she needs to do to get close to him. And let's not ignore the timing of her introduction. Gigi doesn't appear at the start of Resurrection as part of Harrison's college life. She shows up late in the season, right when Batista, Claudette, and the New York Ripper investigation are starting to converge with Dexter and Harrison's storyline. That's usually when writers introduce game-changing characters, the ones who look minor at first but end up blowing the story open. Now let's look at her behavior around Dexter himself. When she first meets him at Claudette's lecture, she doesn't act flustered or nervous, the way most people would around their boyfriend's dad. Instead, she positions herself in the background, quietly watching Dexter as Claudette presents her case on the New York York Ripper. And when Dexter tries to downplay Batista's obsession, who's there immediately afterward to hand him application forms? Gigi. It feels almost staged, like she's monitoring how Dexter reacts and then inserting herself at the exact right moment. She's never just in the background, she's always hovering in the right places at the right times. If she really is undercover, the question becomes, who is she working for? There are a few possibilities. The most obvious is Claudette Wallace. As a detective who already suspects Harrison, Claudette could have placed Gigi at Collings College to keep tabs on him, knowing that he's vulnerable, talkative, and eager to impress. Gigi's connection to criminology, plus her easy access to both Harrison and Dexter, makes her the perfect plan. Imagine the reveal. Harrison, already conflicted about who he is and who he wants to be, discovers that the girl he's been opening up to, the one person he thinks truly understands him, has been lying the whole time. She wasn't there because she liked him. She was there because she needed information. That betrayal wouldn't just crush Harrison emotionally, it would shatter his trust in himself. And for Dexter, the implications are even more dangerous. If Gigi is undercover, then everything she's seen and heard could already be on record. Dexter's presence at the college, their suspicious connection to Batista, all of it could be feeding back into an active investigation. The audience would realize that every flirtatious smile, every casual question was actually a data point in a larger case file. That paranoia, the idea that Dexter and Harrison are already being watched more closely than they realize, would send the tension through the roof. Not only that, one specific scene we saw in episode 9 of Resurrection was when Dexter had returned to his apartment where Harrison and Gigi were waiting for him. Gigi, seeing Dexter and Harrison have to talk, cleverly excuses herself to the washroom. What if right then and there she was actually listening to their conversation surrounding Prater? I mean, after all, it's not like they were whispering or anything. What makes this theory so compelling is how well it fits the DNA of the series. Dexter has always thrived on dual identities. Killers pretending to be family men, girlfriends pretending to be lovers while hiding their own agendas, cops pretending to be allies while secretly investigating. Gigi being undercover would continue that tradition perfectly. It also adds a generational twist. The sins of Dexter's past catching up to not just him, but to his son. Even the little details support it. Gigi's style, alternative, edgy, full of cheetah print and accessories, makes her stand out visually, the way Lila once did. Her platinum blonde hair recalls Ryan Chambers, the intern who once stole evidence from Miami Metro. Her humor, constantly joking about flipping Harrison off or faking stories, mirrors Lila's dark playfulness. These aren't coincidences. They're echoes reminding us that every time Dexter or Harrison trusts too quickly, it comes back to bite them. And that's the real power of this theory. Even if Gigi isn't technically an undercover cop, the show is writing her like one. Her sudden arrival, her suspicious backstory, her calculated intimacy with Harrison, her proximity to Dexter at key moments. It all screams setup. She's not just there for romance, she's there to play a bigger role in the unfolding narrative, one that could explode at any moment. So where does that leave us? If Resurrection decides to pull the trigger on this theory, the reveal would be devastating. Harrison would feel betrayed, Dexter would feel trapped, and the audience would realize that the walls have been closing in far faster than we thought. Would Dexter have to take her out, or would it end up being his demise? Honestly, it's hard to say, but considering we have one more episode left, this theory will either be confirmed or possibly extend into the second season where her role as a character could be elevated. If you want to dive even deeper into these theories with exclusive videos, guaranteed replies, and your name featured at the end of every upload, you can become a channel member for just $2.99. It helps out a ton and keeps this content going. Don't forget to like and subscribe and drop your own thoughts and theories in the comments down below. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hop into the Discord where we talk about all your favorite shows and media. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.